Hi, everyone. Welcome to our little chat today about our new program in China. I'm sure you all know him by now, but let me introduce Arnold. Hi, Arnold.
Hello everyone. How are you?
Good. And how are you doing, Arnold? Has it been a busy week so far?
Yeah, busy week, really good week, a lot of really good interviews, so exciting. It's always, I think this time of year is a lot happening, a lot of people making plans for the summer, for later in the year. So, yeah, great.
Yeah, it's that kind of New Year optimism. People are looking outside and seeing the grey and thinking, which exciting place am I going to go this year? So
Absolutely.
great
Yeah.
stuff. And we do have a very exciting place to talk about today, don't we? Where are we heading across the world today?
So Beijing in China.
Yes, tell me a little bit about our new program. This is a new partner. Tell me a little bit about what they're offering to new teachers.
So basically, they're offering, I think, a fantastic deal in that what this is the chance to move to Beijing as potentially a teacher without, much or any teaching experience. Go and
Mhm.
teach in China, in an amazing place. Obviously, China has so much culture, and specifically in Beijing. And I think the best part of it is also that it's a really good salary because you could earn a starting salary of basically in Chinese money 18,000 RMB to 24,000 RMB. Even if you're sort
Wow.
of at the lower end of that, we're talking about in pounds something like 2,000 pounds a month. In maybe US dollars, something like 20, 25, 2,600 USD per month. So yeah, well, as a company, we get a lot of requests from teachers looking to do different things. And the question I get a lot is a version of, where can I go, have an amazing adventure, save money, send money home, even have a fun lifestyle, have a comfortable lifestyle. And I think this is it. So yeah, really excited about it.
And maybe tell people, I mean, I'm somewhat familiar, but not very. People at home may not be, but what is the cost of living like in a city like Beijing? It's a capital city. Is it similar to London, similar to New York, that kind of thing?
So absolutely not. It's much, much more affordable than those kind of places. I think as a kind of rule of thumb, in China, salaries work differently or structured differently. For this particular school, no separate housing allowance is provided. So if we keep it, for example, in UK pounds for the moment, if you get £2,000 as your salary, housing will probably cost you something like 500. So it's a good chunk of your salary, but it's a quarter, and it would be a lot more if you're in the UK or in the US, perhaps. So let's say you get 2,000, you spend 500 on housing, you'd have 1,500 left, and the
Mhm.
great thing about China, and I'm going to China next month for Chinese New Year, and I go there at least once a year, is that sort of food and transportation is incredibly affordable. For
Mhm.
example, if you take the subway, it's super efficient. There's usually one every 2 minutes or something. It will probably cost you in pounds like 25 cents, 30 cents, or something like that. Really, really very little. And then if you kind of get off the tube and you go to a mall, you go to the food court in the mall, you sit down. I remember having, three kind of it's a sort of chain restaurant. It's nothing too fancy, but really nice, like sit down meal. You probably spend per person 350, maybe £4 on like a three-course meal with a drink and everything and soup. So it's
Yeah.
really, really affordable. So if you're left with something like £1,500, to spend on food and accommodation and going out, you'll do that really comfortably. You'll eat out really regularly, probably pretty much daily without any issues. And yeah, depending on your lifestyle, of course, like save maybe 500 per month or potentially more. It's funny, I was speaking to one of the candidates this week, and he asked me about the price of a pizza in China, and that's maybe the one area if you're eating Western food or Western beer or something like that could be a little bit more. But like if you like Chinese food and kind of get into that, you're saving, I'd say at the very least, like £500 a month.
Absolutely. And from my memory of being in Shanghai and Beijing, you can absolutely live the high life
Yeah,
also. It's
yeah,
not all cheap,
yeah.
but it's unlike London or the rest of the UK where you can't get a meal cheaper. I mean, you can get rubbish, but in China, you can get really high quality stuff, can't you? For really, really cheap. And it's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, one
Yeah.
other element about China and food is an interesting one because my wife is from China and we go there regularly, and so sometimes we order food in a lot, which you might do in the West, of course, too. But I think that's an area where, as I said, like if you go out and have a nice meal, it might be 350, £4. If you have it in, it's probably a lot. It's like probably roughly half of that per person because there's a really interesting kind of well, in terms of prices, like sort of a slight race to the bottom when it comes to prices in China. There's so many companies competing for
Mm.
really quick deliveries and things, so the prices are really, really good. So yeah, you can eat really wonderful food for low prices. Yeah.
Great. So we've got a fantastic salary, but why else? We've got a fantastic city, fantastic salary. Tell me what else is special about Beijing? Why should I pick this program over the others?
Well, I think Beijing is well, very exciting, of course, as a big city where you have everything. You have culture, you have nightlife, you have lots of people, you have lots of, fellow expats as well. What I personally like a lot about Beijing is that, of course, the fact that China is really convenient and modern and accessible is wonderful. But personally, I think the culture is one of the elements of Beijing that's really a selling point. I think because there's just a few places in Beijing that are really amazing. I mean, obviously the wall is an obvious one. I think you sometimes go to big landmarks in the world and there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of build up and then you're there it is slightly disappointing. I think the wall is not disappointing. It's
No, I
really
agree.
everything
Yeah.
it would you think it would be and more. It's just stunning, especially if you go on a nice day. And I think also for me, um just being personally quite interested in history and in politics and everything, I think a place like Tiananmen Square, like how big it is, how just imposing, and how it's just a stunning place when you're there and you see the space of a place like Tiananmen Square. There's just so much culture. Also, the hutongs and all the sort of the old side of Beijing. It's an amazing place. Yeah.
Definitely. And I know from the little bit that I do know about this program, there's something about it that will allow you to see these places more easily. Tell me about that, Ant.
Absolutely. So this is a training center, and one of the reasons I'm really passionate about this is that I worked in China and I really enjoyed it. And fundamentally, the reason I set up the company was that I had such a great time, and I think it's something people will enjoy. So I worked at a training center. So the hours of a training center are slightly different, and that's because fundamentally, what a training center is a place where children go. So the ages of the children would be 6 to 16. So
Mhm.
it's training centers cater to children who go there around their regular school schedule. So they would go to school Monday to Friday during the daytime, and then the training center hours would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday evenings, and
Mhm.
Saturday and Sunday during the daytime. So for you as a teacher, that means that basically Monday and Tuesdays are your days off, where you kind of don't work, and also the mornings, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you probably get into work to plan lessons around 1 p.m. So you have basically the whole day on Monday and Tuesday, and the mornings the other weekdays. So yeah, it means that if you wanted to go to the wall or wanted to go do something else, like you have other these days of the week to do it. I know that I think people can view that differently. I think for some people they maybe prefer the regular work week, but I think it is really something that a lot of people also really like, having the time, in the mornings to themselves. I think what I heard a lot from people over the years is that it's really perfect, for example, if you want to do a regular course or want to study Mandarin intensively and do that every morning at a set time, like that really enables you to do it.
Absolutely. And I think uh, China obviously has this reputation for being full of people and packed.
Yeah,
Okay. And I have to admit that is true. I think you would agree.
absolutely.
In terms of during the holidays, when kids aren't at school, these places such as the Great Wall, Tiananmen Square, public transport, trains and buses and subways, they get so busy. So the fact you are able to have your downtime, have your weekend on a Monday and Tuesday gives you kind of a free pass to the city and a free pass to China almost because you're doing it when people are at work and you've got these 2 days where it's a lot calmer and a lot more peaceful. And I think that actually is a real benefit, a real plus, to be honest. And then with the mornings off during the week, that's massive. You've got all this time, like you say, to learn Mandarin or to work out or to do things like that. And one thing you didn't mention was on the weekend, you actually finish slightly earlier than Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, don't you? Finish five-ish.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Saturday and Sunday is like kind of full on days of teaching, so it's effectively a 9 to 5. And what's nice is that at these places, they you basically work with a bigger team of foreign teachers, and this is something I really liked, and I think helped me settle into China really well. Is that you work in a team of, let's say, 10 to 15 people, all foreign teachers in China, so you kind of see each other a lot. You have a lot of support, and it also means that effectively a Sunday night is the end of the weekend, especially obviously a bit full on work, a lot of teaching. But then there's a nice tradition where usually you all go out for a meal and a drink, on the Sunday night. So I think as much as it is a bit of a different timetable, it's still you're kind of have the same timetable as the people you know directly in China, and you're all kind of having a big kind of celebration at the end of the work week for all of you.
So no Sunday scaries.
I guess not. No.
Sunday's the best day of the week.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Harman. Well, look, I think we should wrap up there. I think to summarize, there are three really exciting things about this job that stand out. There are more, but there are three things. I think the salary is really fantastic. Like we've said, 1,900 to £2,000 or more a month. Saving around a quarter of that is very possible, if not more. If you really want to, keep it a bit more tight, you could save a lot more. Anyway, that's number one. Number two is Beijing. As we've said, it's an amazing city full of so much to do. You can do anything you like there, whether you're into history, whether you're into art, sports, everything. It's a capital city. It's one of the biggest capitals in the world. So Beijing is amazing. And then third is, I think this schedule is a positive. I would be excited at the prospect of that. It's different. It's not regular. Your mind might need a bit of time getting used to, but it's really exciting. So I think there are three reasons. There are plenty more. But just before we go, is there anything else you want to kind of add
Yeah, I
about this
think
program?
maybe two things. I think one in what I experienced is that uh, at these kind of places, the students are so motivated.
Mm.
The thing that stands out in my mind 20 years on is that I was walking through the hallways of the school, and I was talking. I bumped into this nine-year-old girl who came to my assembly. It wasn't even in my class, but she came to my assembly, and she just said, Arnold, that was interesting, and you know what? I'm going to Harvard. And I find it so interesting, like that a 9-year-old girl would say something like that. And I think that sums up the kind of the spirit of the place, where a lot of the families and children, they go to these places because they want to learn fluent English, to have more opportunities in the future. They're really driven, they're really motivated. Um, so then a decade later, she was on social media and she found me, and she was studying in the US. And I
No way.
always that sort of that sums up China in my mind, like that there is such sort of interest in education and such kind of drive in that place. And you're working with a class of 10 to 15 of students like that, where kind of the motivation level is high, the interest in the rest of the world is high. So it makes it a really, really fun place to work. Yeah, so that's what we want. And besides that, I would say that this is a program that we really are kind of going all out, all in on. We're getting a lot of sign-ups. We're getting a lot of people doing this. So I think one of the things that we can also offer is, yeah, kind of hooking you up with a group of people doing this together. Because that's kind of what we're always been about with impact teaching. That hopefully you go and do this with other like-minded people. And yeah, that's definitely happening in this case. So if you sign up for at any point this year, there'll be a good number of other people doing this with us that you can get to know before you fly out. So I think it's really exciting.
Brilliant. So look, if someone does want to sign up, briefly tell us what are the qualifications, the requirements, because we do have to adhere to China's
Yeah.
policy, not the school's policy, but China's policy. What do you need to do this and go to Beijing as a teacher on this program?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, a key element, and like you said, this is very much a Chinese government requirement, is nationality. So at the moment, who we can place on this program are people with nationality from the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland.
Okay.
So that is important. I think the other element is a degree is absolutely required to get a work visa for China. So either having a completed degree or being at the final in your final year at university and about to complete it. For example, if you're looking at this now, you're a final year student in the UK or the US or anywhere, and you are graduating in May or June and you want to go in China in September, that's possible. You can apply for us. So that having a clean background check is 100% essential. And then finally, a TEFL certificate. So a TEFL certificate is a teaching English as a foreign language certificate. If you don't have it now, don't worry at all. It's something you can get online. In name, they're often 120 hours. I think reality, it's potentially a lot less. It could be something like 10 hours. So if you don't have that now, no problem at all. You can apply, and that's fine. But those would be the key requirements. And interestingly, teaching experience is not a requirement at all. And that's because, like in these places, you're going to work with a class of 10 to 15 children who are really quite motivated, as we spoke about. So the main thing they want is just someone who can go in, be engaging, be an interesting presence in the classroom. And if you've got that, if you are that type of personality and you don't have teaching experience, they have good training when you first arrive, so they can help you with that. And the same for learning Mandarin or speaking any Mandarin. It's an environment where, because you're working as a team with a lot of foreigners and Chinese management that speak fluent English and children that are learning English already, it's basically an it feels like a Western type work environment where English is the spoken language, so no need for Mandarin at all.
Fantastic. Sounds brilliant. Yes, very, very exciting. Thank you very much, Arnold.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Great stuff. So if anyone has any more questions that we've missed, feel free to pop them down in the comments and we'll get back to you. Also, there's a link to our website down below. So go there, check it out, look at the program, see all the other ones we have all across the world. And please give us a like if you enjoyed this video and a follow. Arnold, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye
Cheers.
bye.
Bye bye.